Detroit Lions fans, Detroit Den 313 back with another episode. You know what to do. If you haven't already, for some crazy reason, hit that subscribe button. It helps us out tremendously. We want to blow this channel up. Steve, what in the Lord's name are we talking about today?
I'll tell you what, I'd rather be talking football because my wife is downstairs watching Wicked. So any chance I could have to get out of that nightmare and get up here and talk some ball with my guy. When you told me a time, I was hoping it'd actually be about, 2 hours before that, because it's just been absolute chaos down here in the Perkins household. William, I've been overrun. But we're going to talk a lot of things, some news. Get me the hell out of here ASAP. Send the cavalry. We're going to talk some news, talk some rumors, talk some Lions free agents. Yeah, there you go. That's what's on the menu today. Some free agents, offseason needs, news and rumors. I think the hot rumor of the day is the Lions hiring from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as our new defensive line coach. Yeah, there it is. Coach Casey Rogers. And listen. I guess we might as well just go right to the next graphic, Will, because we're also thinking about bringing in Larry Foote to interview as our defensive coordinator. Now, William, he's not my number one. He's no Robert Saleh, but there's no news on Rob Saleh. So if we're bringing in Larry Foote, I'm just going to tell you right now, don't let him leave the facility. That's where I'm at. Don't let him leave the facility without a job, because there's really nothing going on with Saleh. Saleh was my number one, but if there's nothing going on, let's talk Larry Foote for a second. How do you feel about that?
Man, I love it. Larry Foote goes back in time, man, to a time where I was watching Michigan football before that, but I was really starting to understand and get all things football. And one of the coaches, I can't remember, at a camp, one of the coaches talked about Larry Foote, and he was talking about how Larry Foote came to Michigan running a 4.9, and he ended up leaving Michigan running a 4.5. And he was a guy who was scratching and sniffing to get on the field, to a guy that ended up being a star for us, ended up going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, Super Bowl champion. That just tells me that he's another guy that fits the description of the guys that Dan Campbell brings in. Dude's 44 years old, I believe. He's just... Again, I talked about it yesterday. Didn't know about Larry Foote yesterday, but I talked about it yesterday. Dan Campbell likes these guys that are just a scratch and sniff away from just being on the field. Can really relate to these players, can sit down and understand, probably got an understanding of TikTok, right? You know what I mean? And you can say what you want about TikTok. Where I'm watching every one of our offensive players score touchdowns and do TikTok dances. So you have to have an understanding and an ability to be able to relate to these young guys, man. And I think that that's something that Larry Foote can do. He can bring a championship caliber to this organization. I love it. My only question is, what are we doing? We mentioned it yesterday, and Steve, I'll throw this at you. If we hire Larry Foote, he's never been a DC. What does that mean we're doing on the offense, man? It's like, could we be in that scary situation where we're hiring a guy, no experience as a DC, then hire a guy no experience as an OC? Are you pumping the brakes on that? If we hire Larry Foote, would you be okay with the Tanner Engstrand? Or if we hire Larry Foote, would you now want to go a different direction with the OC than Hank or Tanner Engstrand?
I think it goes against what I said yesterday, but I guess it's going to roll the dice. I think this could be a high reward. Larry Foote, William, can you put a little respect on my man's name real quick? You said a Super Bowl champion, two-time Super Bowl champion. All right. Young man, didn't realize he was only 44 years old, still in the prime of his career. I think he could throw pads on and possibly get a couple snaps from him if we needed to. Born and raised in Detroit, from Michigan, played at the University of Michigan. Here's what I like. All right. If you look at his playing career, this dude played for two legendary Hall of Fame coaches, and Bill Cowher and mostly Mike Tomlin. Now, he did have a one-year stint in Detroit. He did have a one-year stint with the Arizona Cardinals, but the majority of his career, he has been groomed as a player by Mike Tomlin, one of the most iconic coaches of the last 15 years, 20 years, whatever you want to say. I know he's catching some heat right now because he hasn't really done much lately, but Mike Tomlin is still one of the most respected coaches in the NFL. And same thing with Bill Cowher. Like, Bill Cowher retired ahead of his time. He could still probably be coaching today if he wanted to, but he's got that nice comfy job. I think he's with CBS now. So when I look at just who he's played for, legends, just absolute legends, Will. And now he's taking over for the Buccaneers. I like that there's some familiarity with who we just hired today. Because if you come in as a defensive coordinator, we've talked about this. What do you want to do? You want to be comfortable with who you've coached with. So bringing in
Yeah.
Coach Casey is something I think might be a selling point. Like, hey, I like and Todd Bowles. He's been coaching under Todd Bowles.
Right.
Todd Bowles has given us a hell of a couple games the last time we played them, and they beat us earlier in the season. So another great defensive mind. We could just look at his playing career. We could look at his college career. Larry Foote. It was even mentioned a couple seasons ago, if you remember this well, when Michigan football needed a defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Larry's Foote
Yeah.
his name came up as a possible candidate for that defensive coordinator position there, but we went with a different route. I think Larry Foote wants to stay in the NFL. Why not come home, Larry? If Robert Saleh doesn't want the job, let's give it to you. Let's see. I'm willing to roll the dice. Now, I don't think Larry Foote himself solves all of our defensive problems, but I don't think many people would. I still think we need to talk about some free agency stuff and some draft stuff before I'm 100% comfortable. But just as a coach, I think Larry Foote would be a home run hire. How do you feel?
Love it, man. I love it. Would be excited to have him here in Detroit for all the reasons you mentioned. You've already stole the cake, man. I really have nothing. I don't even have any sprinkles or anything to put on it, man. Yeah, it's a home run to me. If we don't get Rob Saleh, and well, it's trending in the direction that we're going to lose Calvin Shepard. I'm hearing more things today, moving in that direction. I love the idea, and I like exactly what you said with the Tampa Bay connection, and then Todd Bowles. I mean, Casey Rogers is a guy who a couple of years ago won Defensive Line Coach of the Year, so it's not like this isn't a guy who's established in the league as well. So Terrell Williams was arguably, as Coach Campbell said, the best D line coach in the league, but replacing him is a guy who had a pretty nasty D line out there in Tampa Bay. They were doing some nasty things out there. So I'm excited for it, man. The combination excites me. I guess we'll see. I can't remember what day that they said he was coming in, but I'm on the edge of my seat waiting for them to make some type of announcement.
I'll see if I can find that out as we talk. But real quick, not trying to knock Tampa Bay, but I don't think they have two elite pass rushers on their team like we do in Detroit with Aiden Hutchinson coming back and Ali McNeil. I think our offensive or our defensive line talent wise right now is a little bit better. And honestly, we're going to get into some stuff where I think we can make it even nastier. So, with what Coach Casey Rogers has done with them, imagine what he's going to do with. I think we do have an upgrade in talent just with Aiden Hutchinson alone. Like I think he's one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. So letting him
Yeah,
get his hands on them, but we could be talking an elite defense here. And I already like where our team's headed, and we're not even to free agency yet. We're not even to
yeah,
the draft yet. We haven't even talked any possible trades. William, we've got some good stuff we could be mixing up here pretty soon. So I'm excited just for these hires for the potential of what we could do in the future.
yeah. No, I'm excited for it too, man. I don't know. I got to put some respect on Vita Vea, and
I
that
mean, I
draft
like
pick that
Vita Vea. He's a plug, but he's not getting
Elijah
after the.
Cansey, I like them too.
Well, would you take
But
Kalijah
hey,
Cansey
this is the
over? Yeah,
thing,
you
man.
wouldn't. You wouldn't take Kalijah Cansey over Lee McNeil though.
Oh no, no, not at
Okay,
all.
you wouldn't take Vita
Not for a
Vea
second.
over Aiden Hutchinson.
No, not at all.
Okay, what else we got for tonight, William?
uh, Listen, so we're gonna talk about some free agents. So we'll throw the list up here. All right, and guys, feel free to peruse that list because we're gonna talk about some key guys to us. We're not gonna go through the whole list, but we're gonna talk about some guys that absolutely need to come back on this list. So, Steve, as you look at that list, is there anyone that stands out to you as a must-have? You must have this person back.
I'm going to take the old man on the list. My number one target for our free agents is Kevin Zeitler. I think Kevin Zeitler is still playing at a high level, a very, very, very high level. You talked about signing him and doing something I don't completely agree with and making him a backup to Christian Mahogany. But I'll say this: I think Grant Glasgow's job is in jeopardy because if Kevin Zeitler's still playing good football, I think Mahogany might take his position. And if Frank Ragnow runs it back, we're looking at a second year possible Pro Bowler. Kevin Zeitler's one of the all time greats. He's one of the most underrated guards in football. Frank Ragnow's a legend. We got Taylor Decker. We got Penei Sewell. I think Graham Glasgow should be the one in trouble, and he should be the utility piece. I think if we get into any situation where we're having a little trouble in the interior offensive line, Graham Glasgow's the guy to come in and play either guard position or center. So I think Kevin Zeitler for me, I have to accept that Jared Goff's my quarterback. I have to keep this offensive line as the strength of the team. It's just kind of
Yeah.
what we have to do. So I think Kevin Zeitler signed in for at least one more year, buys us some more time to fill another need later down the road. But for 2025, I like the starting lineup of Decker, Zeitler, Frank Ragnow, Mahogany, and Penny Sewell would be my starting five, with Graham Glasgow as the utility guy. And I've even seen Graham Glasgow switch to left tackle for a couple plays when Decker went out. So I don't love that, but if we came into an absolute emergency, that would be something down the road that we could do with Graham as well. So I think Graham, he might be in a little bit of trouble this summer.
Yeah, I like it, man. I'm not gonna say Glasgow's in trouble. I'm not gonna say either one of them's in trouble. I just something that I like based upon him being 37, 38 years old, man. Father Time is undefeated. I just thought maybe it could add some longevity to his career. Maybe he only takes, a certain level of snaps or a certain amount of snaps, uh, per season. Maybe that adds 2, 3 seasons of him playing at that level, man. But it matters. It's a matter of what he wants to do. What is he looking at in his future, and how much more abuse can his body take? Is the bottom line for me. Because if you ask me, Christian Mahogany, he flashed. He flashed. I'm interested to see what he turns into when he goes through training camp and he comes back and he's not dealing with illnesses and all the other things that he was dealing with this season. What he looks like, but if not, man, we got two solid cats to take care of business. So either way it goes, if we got all those guys on the team, I'll be happy. Oh,
Who's your number one?
but my number one on that list, man, is gonna have to be. And I listen, I'm gonna apologize ahead of time because I know you're gonna try to kill me. I'm gonna apologize to Timothy Patrick because you're my dog. I want you back. I want you back. Don't get this twisted. All right. But Timothy, you're my guy. But just not my number one. My number one is Levi Onwuzurike, man. I need Levi Onwuzurike back on this team moving forward. This thing is built through the trenches. It's built through the trenches, Steve. You say it all the time, and I believe it. He did a phenomenal job this year. He showcased some durability as long as he doesn't go crazy with the price. Now, the price can be, buddy, you only played for 15 minutes now. You gave me one good season. yeah, you gave, yeah, you gave me one good season now. All right. So let's not make this price crazy. But for a fair price, I need Levon Enrique back. I need to be able to see Aiden Hutchinson, Aleem McNeil, DJ Reader, Levi Onwuzurike. That's what I want to see. No disrespect to Zadarius, but I love that D line. I love what Levi Onwuzurike showed in his ability to go play strong side end, right? Go out there and play to the run side, be stout, but then also offered a little bit of the pass rush game, inability to be able to bump down a defensive tackle. I love his versatility. I love his game. Uh, I need to have Levi back. Do you need to have him back, or you're kind of on the fence?
I'm on the fence. I really liked Levi in his role at the beginning of the season, doing what he was designed to do. I don't see him as an everyday starter. When I look at the defensive line, Hutch, Reader, McNeil, those are the three. I think he's an upgradable position, but when he was playing best, he wasn't even designed to be a starter this year. That starting defensive end opposite of Hutch was supposed to be Marcus Davenport. So for the small, and I mean, you have to break out a magnifying glass to look at the sample size we got from Marcus Davenport, the one game we got from him. When Levi Onwuzurike was coming in as a backup and getting just reps coming off of the sidelines, I think that's when he was best. Now, this defensive line was absolutely just put in a bus and driven off a cliff this year. It was just the most banged up unit in all of football. Like, I can't imagine a team that had, even Brad Holmes was talking about it today in his press conference, saying, not many teams go in with the sixth, seventh, eighth option at defensive end, and we were getting into plucking guys off of practice squads, and it's a process that a lot of people don't understand. And we had to grab three guys and for one game, like it was a grind. So I think Brad Holmes is going to look at that and say, I think there's not many positions up for grabs on this defensive line for a job. I do think Levi Onwuzurike is better as a second stringer, just because I've got some names on my list that I don't want to let out of the bag just yet for the draft and possible free agents. So I think Levi Onwuzurike is probably the odd man out, but I'd like to have him as a role player, as a depth piece.
Yeah, I gotta say, man, think you're crazy, man. Especially after the season that we just went through, where we struggled so much on this D line. He is a guy who can win his one-on-one matchup. To me, my only question with Levi Onwuzurike is his durability. That's my only question. I think that he could easily be a starter in this league. I think he's a problem. I think that he is what the guy who just came from Detroit, Missouri guy in a draft, Darius Robinson. I think that he is what Darius Robinson hopes that he grows up to be. The dude is physically imposing. He can bull rush you. He can beat you with a little bit of speed. He can do stunts. He can do everything you need a D lineman to do. I just need to know whether or not he's going to be durable. So if I could get him back for a fair price, I would love it. But I also agree with you on this draft, that the draft and free agency. And guys, this is going to be a part one, part two. Forgot to say that in the beginning. So you're going to get the guys that are in house right now, and then tomorrow, or in the next few days, you'll get the guys that are outside that could come in and potentially fill some roles on this team, and could be some reasons why you might not see us holding a guy as high as a key as you might think. But Steve, as we go through that list, is there anyone else on that list that you want to have back? So as you look at this list, is there anybody else on there that you're saying, man, gotta have him back? Not my number one, but gotta have him back, or really like to.
Listen, if we don't have Emmanuel Mosley, Kendall Vildor, uh, looking at Craig Reynolds, I think he'll get signed and come in to do the same thing he did this season, compete in the practice squad, try to beat out Sione Vaki again. Zylstra, I'm good without. Skipper, I like in his role is the jumbo package tackle. I don't know. I don't need to see Kendall Vildor. I'm done with Emmanuel Mosley. He hasn't played football in almost 3 years, so I'm pretty set on those. But other than that, I see a lot of positions here. I'd like to have Tim Patrick back as wide receiver 3. I think he'd be a nice fit. Coming in, getting a whole season of Detroit Lions training camp might be a benefit to have some better stats, but he made some big catches and some nice games. So, yeah, those are the guys I'm good on. Listen, I need Zeitler. I'm okay with Levi Onwuzurike. Other than that, William, I don't know. I think there's some jobs up for grabs. I think there's some free agents out there. I think there's some kids in the draft that I'm absolutely in love with already. I'm getting close to being ready to talk draft stuff, but we've agreed we're going to talk that after the Super Bowl. We're going to let the rest of the season play out before we do a mock draft or anything like that. But how do you feel about the rest of the list?
Man, I want Coyote Awasika back. He's not a needle pusher by any means or anything like that, but he's a guy who could step in if we're going through something, man, and we need a guy to plug and play. He's shown that he can get us through a game or two. And I would imagine he's a young guy and he's only going to get better. Um, Another guy on that list is Iffy Melifonwu, man. I need Iffy back. I know he had the injury bug. He's another one, man. The price matters. Now the price matters. Don't get crazy with that price, Iffy. You have shown your versatility. You can play inside and outside of the box. I feel like not this season, but last season, you really stepped out and shown that you could be one of the better safeties in this league. I need more of that out of you. If the price is fair, I would really, really, really like to have him back. Let me pull it up again because there was something else. Carlton Davis. I know people are probably wondering why I didn't mention CD. CD is one of those guys where I'm on the fence. It depends on what we're doing. What we do in free agency and what guys like Ennis Rakestraw and those guys what they look like. But there's a couple of guys in free agency that I really like. Carlton Davis is a guy that I would like to have back for a fair price, but there's some other guys that could be stepping into that role, and that we'll probably talk about tomorrow or the next day. But Timothy Patrick, man, Iffy Melifonwu, Dan Skipper, gotta have Skip back. Skip is a must-have. Obviously, that's not gonna break the bank, but those are my guys, man. Skipper, Timothy Patrick, Iffy Melifonwu, Levi Onwuzurike, Kevin Zeitler. And then some of those smaller signings like Craig Reynolds, Coyote Awasika. I think those are guys that should be automatic, man. No brainers, easy price, won't affect the salary cap, and they're Detroit Lions guys.
Yeah, I think defensively, Carlton Davis is a guy I got to have back. He played some damn good football for us. He made some big plays against Houston, or we probably lose that game. So I think he's kind of like the player that we don't have to talk about because he just goes out there and plays football, does a good job, not flashy, doesn't miss his assignments. If we don't have to talk about you, I think you're doing good football if you're a starter. Like I think that's a luxury. Um, I haven't seen enough from Venice Rickshaw to know that I can hand him a full-time job yet. I mean, other than a couple special teams plays and some emergency situations, haven't seen him. So I think Carlton Davis just we haven't had a solid secondary in Detroit for years and years and years. To finally have that was the one position group all season I didn't have any questions about. I don't want to mix that up. I don't want to let it crumble now that we have it in place. So I think Carlton Davis coming back is a must. But again, what's his price tag going to be? I don't know. I don't know what the market is for a corner right now, so it's hard to say. But I trust that Brad will not put this team in a bad position cap wise because not looking too far ahead, we got some guys that are probably going to get re-signed this summer. Aiden
Yeah,
Hutchinson, Jamison Williams. We don't know if they're going to extend. Are they going to pick up the 5th-year option or just go right into an extension? We don't know what that's going to look like. So Carlton Davis is a big question mark, but if the price is right, he's my defensive guy that I got to have back.
I get it, man. But Steve, I'm going into next season thinking my starting corners are Meek Robertson and Terry and Arnold. You know what I mean? I
Good
feel like,
possibility.
you know what I mean? I feel like Amik has done absolutely nothing not to have his spot back other than break his arm. Like if that arm's in one piece or kind of in one piece, I need him out there. He gave me that much this year. He deserves to be out there. He deserves not to be reduced to just a nickel guy. He's a guy that can play outside corner and do it at a high level. I love the way that he competes down in and down out.
Yeah, I think he's damn well could be a starting corner, but competition, iron sharpens iron. I can't just let Carlson Davis
True
walk
that.
out the door if the price is right. So,
True that.
yeah, I mean, this Lions team is so close, man. We've talked about defense, defense, defense. Listen, we've talked Jared Goff. We don't know what more offensively we can give him. So this whole offseason, and it's been the same record that I've been singing for the last 2 years. Got to get this defense on par with what we have offensively. And I know injuries played a big part of it this season. We'll talk about some more as the time comes, but Brad Holmes kind of choosing some projects over some production is a question mark for me. So going into this draft, I'm telling you, I got a plan laid out. I got some free agency plans laid out for some. If this happens, I'm taking this guy. We all know it's going to be a crapshoot. Nobody can really tell what Brad Holmes is going to do, but we're going to get into a lot of stuff with him. You got anything else for tonight?
That's it, man. That's it.
News, rumors, coaching interviews, new coaches coming in, D line getting beefed up with this with these new coaches and some guys from Tampa Bay. Larry Foote news, talking some free agents, guys. We're going to be getting into some draft stuff, some free agency stuff. We're going to be talking it all here at Detroit Den 313. Stick around, hit that subscribe button. We'll be back later with another show.
Peace.